Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go, another Sunday, another show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States FM network. I must admit it. Before the show, I had 1 pound of pasta and 1 bottle of red wine, organic, and everything by myself. So I feel pretty warm. I feel pretty fuzzy and excited. Thankfully, if I was right now live and managing my little mixer, FCC would have probably fined me. But guess what? Since I'm recording and there is no FCC involved in this way, I'm having a great time. But you know what? I'm pretty serious when it comes down to business. Even, of course, I enjoy life and I try to enjoy my little meals. Today, we continue what I already started a couple of weeks ago, interviewing in Mohave County candidates who are running for the great position, the important position of Mohave County Sheriff. I know I have a lot of listeners from Italy, from Germany, other parts of the world. Probably they say, what is the sheriff? I mean, are you still in the Old West? Guess what? Yes, guys, we are in a great position when it comes down to this type of rights that we have. Unfortunately, when I was in Italy, I never had a sheriff. We were stuck with the state police, and that says it all. A centralized police that you cannot even elect. Instead, in these United States, we still have a chance in our counties, still have a right to vote for the county sheriff. In the, not just my humble opinion, but according to the Supreme Court also, case Mack Prince against the United States probably is the most important position as a constitutional authority to defend people's rights. So we can elect our sheriff, and the sheriff is the highest authority that we have in our county. That's why it's so important. That's why I want to spend so much effort and time to share with you, to give the opportunity to the candidates running for sheriff office to bring them on the show. And the show is not about, just give them a microphone, because after all, the show goes on the air on Sunday for 3 hours. That's fine. That goes away. No. The show also will be frozen. I like to visualize like almost a frozen recording of on YouTube for posterity. That means all the interviews that we posted now, whoever's going to be the sheriff that we will win, we will have them on record, or we will have her on record. And we will keep them accountable. That's why I think it's so important. And also I want for people, give them the opportunity to know more about the sheriff. I want to disclose, we're going to have today a great lady. I met this lady about probably 5 years ago, and she was part of the sheriff department in Mohave County. And she was behind the desk, and I was there for business, as a constituent. I was pressing charges against a county worker that, according to my belief, he did an assault on me. And I tell you, I was very surprised to find out how professional she was. Seriously. I didn't know this person. I had no idea. And normally when you press charges against another county worker, after all, the sheriff works for the county, or at least, the sheriff works for the people, but you know the story. They get paid by the county dollars. So I was very impressed. She was very professional. I had no idea. Then, of course, it's a small world. This county is a small place. And I realized that I knew the husband, or indirectly, I was the customer of the husband. And the husband is the owner, or she is also the owner, also, by the way, of a great gun manufacturing company that I really like and support. I like to support gun manufacturers, especially here in Arizona. And it's called Plum Crazy. So that's pretty much a little disclosure. Like I did disclosure, when I had the other candidate, that one of my guests that normally have on the show, Jim Leeson, is also the campaign manager for the other candidates. But that doesn't mean that when you come on my show, I treat you all the same. Friendship becomes private. business, public business, for me is the most important thing. And that's why today I have the honor to bring you on the show. The only candidate running for sheriff who is a woman. And honestly, I couldn't care less if she was a trans, seriously. All I care is she's a good constitutional sheriff. That's my goal. But you know what? I want to give it that twist. You know, it's kind of unusual to find a woman running for this position. Normally, everybody thinks, must be a boy, must be a man. It's a sheriff is a macho guy situation. I don't think so. I think it's a person. Anyway, her name is Cori Merryman. Cori, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I had to shut up because I start to talk, I go too long, man, especially after a bottle of wine. Anyway, nice to meet you. First of all, because I always mispronounce every name, how did I do with your first and last name?
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So I need to almost make it wrong because I did completely butcher the first two candidates. So I'm glad I did right with you. Now, Cori, briefly, let's introduce yourself. I want to give you the floor. And my only goal here in this interview is to give you the opportunity to share who you are, what is your background, and more important, what you can offer, what you are going to offer to us, the constituents of Mohave County, if you're going to be elected sheriff. So let's start first of all with your professional background. Who is Cori Merryman, candidate for Mohave County Sheriff? Go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you, first of all, so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you and to be able to reach out to the residents in Mohave County and the prospective voters. I actually became a resident of Mohave County about 18 years ago. I am also the first candidate, I must say, to announce my run for Mohave County Sheriff. I realized that there was definitely a need for change and feel that I'm the candidate that would be best suited for that position. Before I get into anything else, I need to tell you my foundation. I am a Christian, constitutional, conservative Republican. That is what governs me morally and ethically. I am not against any other religion. You have the freedom of your religion, whatever you choose it may be. That is what governs me morally and ethically. And I believe anybody, especially with what we are facing as a nation and as a county as well, should have a foundation and stand firm on it to help them make very impactful, important decisions that affect so many people. My first employment, I was actually a lifeguard Special Olympic swim coach respite coordinator for Lake Havasu City. And I served for them from the age of 16 to about the age of 20 years old. And during that time frame, I would also say that it was wonderful serving the community as a public servant. It's something that I've done for the past 18 years in every attribute of anything that I've seek to do. During that time frame, I also actually became a pilot. I obtained a license for fixed wing. I'm no longer certified. This is a previous accomplishment that I achieved. The reason why I still bring it up is because at that age, it is very unusual to achieve something that is so profound.
Cori,
it's something that is...
Let me ask you something. I'd like to, 1 second, interact.
Sure.
Say again, what did you do as a pilot? What type of pilot? Airplane or helicopter? I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. I became a private pilot for airplanes, flying Cessna 172s.
Good. I'm gonna let you talk. Don't worry about it. I just like to interact a little bit because I had the same passion, and I was lucky enough when I was 21 to be able to become a pilot too. So I probably understand the thrill, or at least the joy to be able to fly. And tell me something. You had a single engine, or did you do double engine? Where did you stop? Different levels. Where did you stop at with your Cessna license, with your private license?
Just at the private, just single engine, and then I actually relocated out to California and transitioned into flying helicopters. And I really loved that. I flew Schweitzer 300 CVs, and I had a passion for that.
Okay.
And while I was out there, I also was the assistant manager for a 160-unit apartment complex, and kept a 98% occupancy. So I was very proud about that. But when I returned back to Mohave County, because my heart belonged here, I just had this desire to return. I did not keep any of my certifications because there wasn't anything available locally at that time to do so, and I decided to move on to other areas. And but it was a great passion of mine and something that I'm very proud of.
Cori, you can always take some lessons. For example, I was thinking myself, I still have all the certificate of my license. And I know that after 3 months, if you don't fly or things like that, you need to get some other lesson, pass a test. And, it's not that far. You can spend maybe a few more hours with an instructor and then pass another test. And you can always reinstate your license back. Honestly, I may do that myself. You have a beautiful airport, by the way, in Havasu, right? In Lake Havasu, correct?
Yes, we do. Yes. Absolutely.
Perfect. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. No, it's a prior accomplishment and a passion that I had and I am proud of.
Now,
not something I'm really looking at this point to try to get back into. There are too many other areas that definitely need
question.
When a lot more help than worrying about myself.
you were when I met you the first time I met you, and I had no idea who you are. I mean, who you were. You were behind the desk. You were at the Mohave County Sheriff. I was there as a constituent, as a citizen, and I was asking for help. And you were there doing your job. And I really tell you, and I'm not telling you that because you're on the show. I'm always very honest. Ask to Sheriff Sheenan. When something I don't like, I say it out loud. You were very professional. Right. And I tell you, I was very surprised because, you were doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And I was pressing charges at the time against the county. I was the security manager for the county. So that was kind of interesting. I liked the interaction we had at the time. And I had no idea that you were, of course, also involved in a gun business. So I was pretty impressed. Yes. But regardless. Now, when did you become, and why did you have the desire to become a sheriff deputy? At the time, you were a sheriff deputy when I met you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, before I can get into that, very briefly, after I was a lifeguard, and once I returned back to Lake Havasu City, I worked for the Western Arizona Humane Society as an animal control officer. And I feel that's very important because that's one of the key reasons I was told as to why Mohave County Sheriff's Office recognized my talents and hired me as a deputy sheriff in 2006. And I attended Carlotta Central Arizona Regional Law Officers Training Academy and became a certified law enforcement officer. And that's really the starting point, I felt, my law enforcement career, because I had that experience working with the community, although in a civilian aspect, because law enforcement or animal control officers are not certified to do arrests. We would turn that over to PD. That gave me that foothold for that experience.
Now, speaking about animal control, because, I have some questions, of course, I will ask you like I asked to the other candidate, but I like to mix and match a little bit, There is a situation here, and I like to go straight to the point. You know that in Mohave County, we have an ordinance that if we own a dog, we must immediately, or at least as soon as possible, buy a tag for from the animal control, from the county. That means it's some sort of a dog registration. Think about gun registration. This is a dog registration. If we don't get a tag, we're going to get fined, and we also may have a misdemeanor. Now, my point is this one. If the dog, it is on my property, okay? Is on my property. Is not endangering anybody else. Is not trespassing on public land, or at least on the street. Why I should have the government to come to me and with the fear of a punishment, in this case going even to jail, beside the fine if I don't comply. I heard story people went to jail. I need to tag my dog. What next? Probably the cat. Like, for example, now they have in Bullhead. They have cat registration. And I always say, then at that point, the sky is the limit. Let's go for the chickens, and next going to be your children. Now, what is your position on this story of... not this story. This is not a story. This is a freaking, county ordinance. And, of course, you are a sheriff. You're supposed to enforce the law. I'm not asking you to do other things, okay? But, as a person now, what do you think about the fact that now that the county can tax us and can punish us just because we own a dog? I always say we should be punished only if we commit a crime, not a general punishment, this collective sort of punishment. Just because we own a dog, now we got to pay a tax. In this case, it's a tax to the county. What is your position on that? Go ahead.
Well, my position on that is that, yes, we do have to follow the laws that are on the books. I understand your concern, Luca, that where does it stop? I feel the thumb down on me just like any other resident because that I am. And we do not need more regulations or restrictions. I had heard about the cat issue too and what's next. Like you said, birds, chickens. But with the position of the sheriff, we have to enforce what's on the books. Anybody that has any concerns needs to address their city, their state legislators, because law enforcement officers' hands are tied. They have to follow the laws. That's our position, is to follow the laws. And as a sheriff, my personal opinion does not matter. I do have my own opinion, but my personal opinion, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It really doesn't, Luca,
Okay.
because the focus is Mohave County.
Okay.
And we have to enforce the laws.
All right.
My opinion means absolutely nothing when it comes to what we have to abide by.
Now,
So it's not just the sheriff election, it's the other elections around us that we have to take seriously.
okay, I have the same question that I ask also to other candidates. It is, I don't forget when it is, but Rosa Parks was in the back of the bus, and she was breaking the law. There was a specific city or county or whatever state law that black people must be in the back. Now, she got arrested. And there was also a Supreme Court case in 1860-something anyway, that pretty much says that slavery was legal. You as a sheriff, would you have complied with the law? Would you have arrested Rosa Parks? Or would you have, I don't know, maybe said, I can't do that? I mean, after all, that was the law too. It was a very specific law. I mean, she went to jail, for God's sake. You got the floor.
She did. Yeah, you're absolutely right. She did go to jail, but any cases that are not either investigated or handled, that's what was done to her. I can't change what was done to her or the fact that she was arrested. But what I can stand on is what we can do from now on.
I remember
and
something.
the changes that we've made in our history. That's what we need to focus on.
But remember something, after all, you as a sheriff, you have the supreme law of the land that I'm sure you know about it, because also I heard you being endorsed by one of the one of the really the top sheriffs in history that we had here, Sheriff Mack, and then we'll go there in a little bit. And the simple thing is that every law that is against our basic foundation, it means U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights, it pretty much can be null and void. I mean, after all, they can say tomorrow that the law that they need to round up everybody with the brown hair, or maybe they need to round up everybody who doesn't like, I don't know, a specific thing. Doesn't mean that you need to have to comply. So that's my point, There is always a basic foundation that all law enforcement, that I would like to call more peace officers, in my opinion, that they need to, first of all, comply. It's your oath that you took more than one time, probably, to defend this Constitution, and also our state Constitution, of course. So that's pretty much where I was going to, Yes, of course, when it comes down to the gun, to the dogs issue, I'm not asking you as a sheriff what you would do, but at the same time, think about it. You always have the chance to put your input out there, even if, of course, you are not there to legislate. After all, you are going there to enforce the laws. But also, you can start to say, hey, wait a second. Maybe I should put my priorities, my energy, my resources on going after really the bad people. If somebody has the dog, in this specific case, on their own property, and the dog didn't trespass, didn't kill anybody, but it's there. minding his business behind the
And
fence.
he's just sitting there. Okay, behind him. Okay.
You know, why
Go ahead.
should we go there after I heard cases, for example, people being terrorized, the animal control trespassing on their property and harassing the owners, and of course try to use this car that, of course, that they need to pay this tag. So this is just my little input, and I don't want to distract you from the other questions, but I think it's important because after all, even if you're there to enforce the law, at the same time, I think you still have your logic and common sense and
Right.
prioritize
No, and
things.
I do agree with you. You know, the dog isn't biting anybody, isn't off of your personal property. And we have so many other things that we do need to worry about.
I mean, if the dog was on the street, mauling, for example, the neighbor cat, yes, we have a problem, okay, or be in
Right.
danger, that's fine. But if it's behind my doors, because the same logic, this is pretty much where I'm coming from. If there is no crime, there is no victim, should have been no crime. And now the government has this limited power to tax us, to tax on even our animals. We open this Pandora's vat with a dog. Next time it's going to be my chickens or probably your little cow. Seriously, why not tomorrow the county cannot do a passing executive, not executive, we're thinking about Obama, a county ordinance. We need to tax now and tag also the cows. Like, for example, there is already an animal ID tag in other states. So this is pretty much my little, I don't want to try to tell you what to do, but I want to just have an interaction with you, at least have some input, because I know
Right.
you are a good person and probably, thinking with this stuff right now, maybe going to give you an opening to your thinking in the next future. Say, wait a second, maybe we have a situation here, seriously. Anyway, that's pretty much all I want to say. Please continue. I don't want to interrupt you too much. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. No, I agreed with you that we have so many other issues that we need to address than just that. But they're all important, like our drug issue, issues at the county. Can I go on about my other areas that I wanted to cover with you, Luca?
Yes. First of all, let me ask you one question, because let's say this
Sure.
is you, after all, you're looking for a public job, okay? So the people, the constituents, are going to be your boss, like it or not. I know probably you don't even need that job, because I know that in your life you are pretty successful. You got everything you need to do. You don't really need that stuff, but you want to do it. And then I ask you why you want to do it. But more important now, I want to give you like the microphone to say why the constituents of Mohave County should prefer you, voting for you instead than all the other 5 or 6 candidates that are out there. What you gonna offer? Give me 3 basic points that you're gonna say, wow, we need to look for you. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I am the only candidate who owns a very large company. I manage over 627 accounts at our factory, our manufacture plant. I own E3 Arms and some crazy firearms. My husband and I have been business owners for 15 years, so I understand what it takes to build something up from absolutely nothing. I have the much-needed energy left to address the many, many issues of the sheriff's office. We do zero-based budgeting at our factory, which is what exactly the county needs. They keep addressing tax hikes. We need to start with what we have first. And until we do that, I will not be comfortable approaching the citizens and residents of Mohave County, asking them if they would approve a tax increase, because that's not proper business practices. That is one major area that sets me apart, is that I'm still currently involved with the community. Number 2, I am not of retirement status, meaning that I provide jobs. I am still contributing to Mohave County. We provide a service, employment, manufacturing, and that's something wonderful and proven beneficial to the county. And I'm so glad that we run a successful business. Although it is highly regulated, I'm glad that we follow those regulations. Otherwise, we would have been shut down a long time ago. Anybody with common sense would realize that and know that we run a straight arrow business, because you have to. And so I have that foundation.
Okay, let me stop you 1 second. So first thing, just to sum it up, you have the record as a private business owner, as a co-owner, that, differently from what government does. Normally, government doesn't produce anything. All they do, they spend somebody else's money. That's what they do. So you make
Right.
You provide, you create, and you have a good tracking record that you are, private business we know very well. If we don't have a product that works or a service that works, we're gonna go out of business. So you have a good, successful tracking record that you can keep your book straight. That's important. You have management capacities. Great. That's good. Don't get me wrong. I think is very important, because I tell you, we need more people that they come from the private business. Now, the sheriff, though, after all, beside, of course, to keep your budget together, is more than that. I'm sure you know. Why you think really you're going to be different from other potential candidates? What is exactly your extra, your extra strength that you're going to offer? Why?
I serve the community and not just the law. If you look at other candidates, I commend them for their service to Mohave County, to their other agencies for military service. But when you have somebody who's traveled down one track and haven't branched out, I've served the community in an aspect as a civilian too, working for the Lake Havasu City Aquatic Center. And I think that's very important, that when you elect your next sheriff, that you have somebody who has held a multitude of hats, who is highly accomplished, who has served in many different areas of the community, and not just one. And the other major issue is that every other candidate is collecting a retirement of sorts.
Okay.
So when you're dealing with a true conservative, what is the meaning of a true conservative? And I'm not against anybody collecting either a military retirement, law enforcement retirement, but that is to be a true conservative. When I separated from the sheriff's office, and I say separated because I was not terminated, I left on my own OR, realizing that we needed a change, and I have that business perspective, community service, and law enforcement experience to back me, and worked for the agency I'm running for to understand the needs of the sheriff's office and the deputies that I served with, my brothers and sisters.
Okay, let's talk about that. Yes. How many years did you serve as a deputy in Mohave County, as a sheriff deputy?
8.5 years. I was also a hostage negotiator during my time I served for Mohave County Sheriff.
Okay, perfect. So, and I know that also you have some decisions. I don't know. I would like to ask you now. Normally, let me tell you something. I don't care about your private life, because I don't care about any private life. That's your private life. The only thing I say to my guests when they're running for public office, there are some things that we should become more aware. Of course, I don't want to know about your personal relationship between you and your husband. I'm talking about things, for example, that could be on the open. And because, we're here as the voters, we would like to know more, and we have the right to know more. So why did you leave that position of deputy after 8.5 years? You're already pretty much a veteran. Why did you leave that position? Was it a business situation or maybe a family issue? What happened to you? What's going on?
Well, being involved with the community has always been my passion. When Sheriff Tom Sheehan decided to retire, I saw an immediate change with Mohave County Sheriff's Office. Mm-hmm. And realizing that, I turned in my resignation to the Sheriff's Office. And there was also another large issue at the Sheriff's Office. And I understand that because I faced it myself. And that is that everyone is not treated equally. We need to change the culture at the Sheriff's Office so every employee, and not just at the Sheriff's Office level, but in Mohave County, so they're treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve and with the honor that they deserve for serving the community, and that they will be provided with the equal and great opportunities. A lot of the effort that they put forth, they will be given great opportunities at the Sheriff's Office for either advancement or extra areas of different departments that I would like to do. We need more specialty departments at the Sheriff's Office. Okay. But that also the residents will have that safety and security put first. That's definitely my number one.
Now I want to, let's dream together for a second, okay? At least for you, for sure, okay? Election time. Cori Merryman is the new Mohave County Sheriff. You go in tomorrow morning driving your car, and you go in, or probably they're going to give you the sheriff car, I'm sure. And you're going to go to your office, and you're going to say, wow, Now I'm going to start to make things straight. What are the first three things you want to accomplish as a new Mohave County Sheriff that you really believe they're going to make a change in our community and in our Mohave County Sheriff Department? Three things that you say, this is what I'm going to commit myself in the next 90 days since I'm taking office.
Absolutely. I am making a commitment within the first 90 days that we need to build the budget up from zero. We need to justify where the money's going, or we will not be able to give these hardworking, dedicated employees in Mohave County and the Sheriff's Office the much-needed raises that they need and deserve. We are losing all of these viable employees. Their training experience is going out the window. It costs over $100,000 to replace a deputy. So I do not think that the taxpayers want to continue to train people for them to leave to go to Maricopa County, Bullhead PD, KPD, Lake Havasu PD, because they offer other incentives. We are the Sheriff's Office. We're supposed to be the succeeding agency and represent the Mohave County as such and treat our employees as they deserve to be treated. And if they have other opportunities, it was never about money for me. I run a successful company.
Okay.
So that being said, I was able to make that decision.
Okay. Now,
stand up to run.
so we want to retain, of course, the problem that I heard also from other people, that people join the force, join the Mohave County Sheriff Department, they get trained, and then they start to look for better venues. For example, Bullhead or Lake Havasu, they pay more. So we have that problem. Okay, now, how are we going to find this money? This is, after all, comes from the Mohave County supervisor. They control the purse, for what I heard. Any idea what could you do to make this change? Because if they don't want to listen, so far, we have a lot of money which is being spent, in my opinion, very badly. We're paying, after all, as a good old socialist country here, for public cable TV. I mean, this is insane. We got a lot of money that they get spent for really useless things. So what you can do as a sheriff to say, I need more money here, and I don't want to pay. I don't want to increase the taxpayer load. We don't want to put more taxes on our back. What can you do? What you gonna suggest?
Well, and that's exactly the number one issue is the zero-based budgeting, Luca. We need to build our budget up from zero because there is proven waste, and I can tell you that 54% of our budget comes out of the Mohave County Jail. And there are ways, if we do that instead of just pushing it through as we've done historically for so many years. For example, at our factory, I saved us over $10,000 in boxes because we were able to address our budget with our shipping and our labeling and our boxes. Yes, $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually analyze it and build it up, it justifies where it's being spent. And that's something that we do not do. And the needs change. And we have to be that change. We need somebody who's actually been able to structurize a budget at that level, a multi-million-dollar status level, and understands that that's the type of mentality it's going to take. And somebody who has taken it on their own OR, as I've done with our company. Not somebody who's just been given something and said, oh, here, we want you to watch this or do that.
Okay.
So everything I've done, we've done on our own.
So you want to try to, of course, look at every way we can, I'd say, cut cost in the right, smart way. And I think you have that experience. I understand that. Now, talking about cost, this is just from a point of a constituent. And when I found out this information, I was freaking out. Are you aware how much was the final bill for the new Mohave County jail that we have there? How much cost to us? How many million of dollars?
Way too much.
Okay.
I'll say that.
I heard.
Way too much.
I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, it was about $70 million. Do you have the same number? Am I pretty close?
I don't have the exact number, but that's close enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first question, even without being a sheriff, and of course, this has been done in the past. You were just as a constituent there. But would you be curious to know what type of metal if it was gold or silver, the handle and the bathroom of the jail was built with, because I cannot think in Mohave County, one of the probably the most humble county. I mean, it's a huge county, but it's not Beverly Hills, okay? It's not Beverly Hills. I mean, we are regular people, working people here. To have a jail that costs like almost as a budget of some islands when I was traveling around the world. I mean, Tonga was pretty much the same, global, they had the same budget. 70 million bucks, it's a lot of money. Are you not curious to know exactly really how the money they were spent there a little bit? What do you think?
Right, and I definitely felt your pain on that one. It was definitely a very expensive bill. I do know that with the jail, they go by projection and population increase, and they wanted to make sure that they built an adequate facility for the prospective population increase for Mohave County. But a big question I had was the other, you had asked me to give you three major reasons.
Yes.
And number two is safety and security, but I have a reason to back that. As a deputy, and I have not been employed by Mohave County Sheriff's Office for almost 2 years, just shy of a few months. I'd actually say about 20 months now. So when you're dealing with the safety and security of the residents, we have one main jail. So if we can afford a almost $70 million jail, why do we not have two substations open? I mean, that is not adequate safety and security, not just to the residents, but to the deputies. We do not have adequate patrol. We have approximately 86 sworn officers working for Mohave County Sheriff's Office. And if you have one making an arrest and they have to meet with a detention officer, does that create a safe environment for them, for you? I don't agree with that. I believe that the jail should have either been reopened or they should have built another facility, and that's been brought up numerous times at several meetings, and people concerned about it, and rightfully so, that it's time. We need to make a decision. If we can afford that, what's the justification? And I have been told that the money is available to reopen them. So I just keep asking, why not? And I can't do anything until I'm elected. So
okay, so we have number one. You want to keep this budget straight. You want to start to give incentives to our deputies to stay in the force. Don't leave the agency. Don't leave the sheriff department. Now, there is something probably, and this is all great stuff, don't get me wrong. We need to have people that they are motivated, to have enough money to pay bills and to stay in the county sheriff. Otherwise, we're going to have nobody. It must be something else. I know there must be something else. After all, otherwise, I don't think you really were looking for the endorsement of Sheriff Mack that I heard he gave it to you. And I don't think he gave it to anybody else. So give us exactly what's going to be the super magic card that's going to make you different from other candidates. Give it to us.
I am a proven constitutional candidate.
What does
offering my services to stand up to be elected Mohave County's next sheriff.
Okay.
And the reason is we need somebody who actually understands what the position entails of. So I had the wonderful opportunity of reaching out to Sheriff Richard Mack and having a great conversation. We actually drove down to Phoenix, me and one of my employees, and she drove down with me. By the way, she can assemble over 1,000 AR-15. She's an excellent assembler. And we just had a wonderful meeting together, and it was definitely not an easy endorsement to get, but we need to get back to basics. We need constitutional sheriffs sitting in those seats to represent Mohave County. And no, you're correct. He has not endorsed any other sheriff candidates in Mohave County. I am it. He's actually coming out to Mohave County to the Danbar Steakhouse on April 1st. It's no joke, although it does fall on April Fool's. I'm having a fundraiser party, and he is going to be there, and it's going to be amazing. And anybody interested in going can contact me either via Facebook or email at merrymanforsheriff.com, or you can call me at 928-412-0972 if I have any tickets left.
Okay,
but
that's great. By the way, I want to post, I do that with every guest. I would like to post your website on today's show, lovegunsfreedom.com. People can go there and they can check you out and can take more information. And more important, I really think it's important that they can ask you questions in person maybe and going to the meeting with Sheriff Mack. I think it's a really important meeting. Now, this is the Dan Bar, and it is in Kingman, correct? Just double check for everybody. Okay. So give it one more time, please, slowly, the phone number so people can find out where they can get the tickets, please.
928-412-0972. And it is a fundraiser to elect Cori Merryman for Mohave County Sheriff. And my guest is Sheriff Richard Mack. He is going to be my key speaker and supporter at the event, and it's at the Dan Bar Steakhouse in Kingman, Arizona on April 1st at 5:30 p.m. If you would like tickets, please call 928-412-0972, or you can message me on Facebook.
Perfect. Now, let's go back to you mentioned something that probably most of my audience know, but maybe sometimes, I get new listeners, and I like that. I like to, the show is not about preaching to the choir. I'm trying to reach out new people, okay? They want to know. Yeah. What does it mean exactly, a constitutional sheriff? Why you think it's so important? After all, Sheriff Mack was a constitutional sheriff, but what did he do so important to make that point and to give you the endorsement? What is a constitutional sheriff? Who is?
A constitutional sheriff will not bend or let them be trampled on by anyone, foreign or domestic, and will stand up to the Constitution and protect the rights, safety, and liberty of the residents of Mohave County. And I had expressed that to Sheriff Mack, which is why he offered his endorsement to me. The idea is to make sure, like I said, that we have constitutional sheriffs protecting you and really understanding that it is a position with the utmost responsibility and safety and security at with the federal level, which I already deal with the federal government at our manufacture plant. So I already have that federal law enforcement, federal experience working with them. Mm-hmm. So I need the residents to understand that you need a sheriff who's going to be in there representing you, and that they work for us.
Okay.
You work for them.
Let me give you a specific case. Okay, I like to do practical things so people can visualize. You know that around 2001, Congress with President Bush passed the Patriot Act, okay? And then, of course, Obama with the other Congress, Democrats and Republicans, they passed the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 that in a similar way, with the clause of indefinite detention, pretty much spit on our Bill of Rights. The Patriot Act was a complete destruction of our Fourth Amendment, gives authority to local law enforcement, to federal law enforcement, to completely violate our Fourth Amendment. They can spy and search in your home without any due process. And in the same situation or similar situation with the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, the federal government can declare any one of us, U.S. citizens included, with or without accent, doesn't matter, a domestic terrorist, or at least a suspect terrorist, and just because of with that suspect, they can pretty much throw your butt in the dungeon without due process. We do have an indefinite detention. That's a fact. Now, Mohave County, you are the sheriff. The feds say, we gotta go come and get Zanna because we really suspect he's a terrorist, okay? And that's it. Not even the FBI, probably the Army, because right now under the National Defense Authorization Act, the Army, in complete violation of posse comitatus, can be used on U.S. soil to arrest American citizens and throw him in the dungeon, not even the jail, without due process, no completely access to judge, jury, or lawyers. What would you do as a sheriff?
Absolutely not, Luca. Absolutely not. Your rights and liberties would be violated under the Constitution. So that being said, it is that much more important that you have somebody who understands that the sheriff has the authority to allow the federal government to work within their county. They have the authority to take over investigations if they choose to do so, over the police departments as well. That's why the position of the sheriff is so important. If I cannot stress that so much to the public, that they understand that, because our rights are violated and trampled on. For example, I went down to Phoenix, met Sheriff Joe Arpaio. I had a knock on my door from the ATF wanting to do a home inspection the next day. Well, I feel that I should have been notified, and I've said this in debate.
Wow.
I feel that my sheriff should have notified me, regardless of my license.
Wait a second.
Regardless.
Do me a favor. Let me be sure. This is in Lake Havasu. I didn't know that. Did you have the ATF coming to your home?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when was that?
The day after I met Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
And when was that? How long ago? I'm just curious.
After I announced my campaign, let's see here. It was a few months ago.
Okay, and
but I found it very.
What did they come to your home? I know that you are a gun manufacturer, but that's at your office, at your factory. Okay, your home. It's your home.
Correct.
It's your private place. What was their excuse?
Correct.
Did they have a warrant? Did they have a court order? What did they have to come to knock at your door, and looking for what?
Well, our home is listed as a secondary office. Obviously, we wanted it set up that way because with being manufacturers, it just makes it easier, and we were advised to do so. So we did, but in the history of our license, they've never done a home inspection, and I just shook my head at that. I said, you know what? I'm a candidate for sheriff, and they said they knew, and I already knew that they knew that. Obviously, they're knocking on my door the day after I come back from Phoenix, and I just found it quite interesting that they were there to do an inspection, and they have never done one in the history of our license.
Wow.
And I do not have anything against other agencies, but I feel that they need to be better regulated by the sheriff's office. I feel the sheriff should have notified me through a sergeant, through a deputy. Somebody should have notified me. I feel that because that is the position of the sheriff.
Okay.
They are to supersede the federal agencies when they work on our soil, and I expressed that to Sheriff Mack.
Okay.
And he agreed.
And this is at your home, but technically, I want to be fair here. The moment that you sign a contract with these people, and I want to try to keep my language clean because I'm clean, I'm trying to keep it FCC friendly, you pretty much must comply by the rules. And one of the rules is when you are a FFL dealer, your home, your office, whatever your residence, it must be open to them. Now, you know that there was a piece of legislation in Phoenix that they were trying to make that every agency, federal agency that wants to operate within the sheriff, the county, the jurisdiction of the sheriff, they must first inform or at least get the authorization by the sheriff. Unfortunately, I think it was the governor didn't pass at the time, they veto it. But regardless, you still have that authority as a sheriff, if you get elected as sheriff, to set the rules. What is going to be what are you going to say to the federal agencies that they're operating right now here in Mohave County, like FBI, DA, IRS, whatever we have on the book? What is going to be your set of rules?
Well, I don't think that there's very much with something like that happening. I don't believe that there is very much on the books, Luca. I believe that we need to be in constant communication with their actions, and if there's anything such as investigations, we have the findings of their investigations before things such as arrests, like if it's the FBI or things of that nature. Because that is violating the rights of the people by just taking actions, and it is the position of the sheriff to make sure that they protect and serve the people. Okay. And that is not being done.
Let me give you an example, okay? They're going to communicate. I'm the ATF guy, director here in the agency in this county. Hey, Sheriff Merryman, guess what? I give you the information that tomorrow we're going to start to do a gun buyback, let's say, / confiscation in Mohave County. We just inform you. Thank you very much. Bring us some coffee. What you going to do?
Not going to happen.
Okay, you got 86 deputies, okay? And I'm not going to try to put you on the spot. I don't want to say, but this is a real, unfortunately, for whoever's going to be our sheriff.
Well, Luca, I'll tell you, okay. Well, what I understand what you're trying to get at. So, fortunately, like I said, they work off of work permits. They have the authority. The sheriff has the authority to cease their work in Mohave County. So that will not happen under my watch.
Okay.
There will be no gun confiscation.
What's about
No retrieval,
Okay.
no buyback program. None.
Okay, forget the confiscation, leave it to extreme. Let's go with the good old registration. After all, we must be safe, as there is an executive order from Mr. Obama that now we're going to have a registration according to his magic pen and paper. Hey, it's coming from Washington. Probably they say that it's the law, even, of course, Congress didn't vote for it. What you going to do about that? A little gun registration.
Also not going to happen. You have to have your rights not be infringed upon. Gun registration is the start of the demolition of every single county. What is the point of registration? Tell me, Luca.
Normally, to register, to keep a database to see who has the gun or not, and then, of course, history. This is history. Now, even me, look at Zanna talking. Look in Australia, look in England, look in Germany, and in Mussolini, in Italy, many other countries. Normally, it's always followed by confiscation. That's pretty much the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, listen. I say whoever's going to be the sheriff, this is going to be a very, let's say, committed position with a lot of excitement, if you want to put it in a positive way. And I tell you, I commit you for your commitment, because I tell you, this is not an easy job. You're not going to be working as collecting a check as, just, and don't get me wrong, county supervisor, I think it's a lot of commitment there too. But this is about, you're going to put your life on the line to fulfill your oath that you're going to take again, to uphold the Constitution. And I know when Sheriff Mack selected you, at least chose you as a person, I don't think Sheriff Mack, he has a great reputation out there, and he didn't do something lightly. He must have his own convictions to support you. That's all I can say. And I tell you, I keep my personal things personal, but I commend you for being in the race, and I commend you also to have achieved that support by Sheriff Mack. That, by the way, it is not a secret. It's been on my show one time, and I completely admire him as a sheriff. He's been probably one of the person that educated the most about what this country is supposed to be and how we can take it back one county at a time, starting from our county government, our county sheriff. Excellent. We are getting almost at the end. Time goes so fast. I today ask you probably much different question. I have a couple of minutes. You know that in the Arizona Constitution and also in our Arizona Revised Statute, we have a name that probably now in the mainstream media is pretty much a bad thing, but is part of our history. After all, we didn't have a standing army when we fought the Redcoats. And in our Arizona Constitution, it's called the militia. Every man between the age 18 and 45 is automatically in our state part of the militia. Then there is, of course, the organized militia, and then there is the National Guard, and also there is the unorganized militia. And in our county, the supreme commander of the militia, or at least the leader, is the sheriff. What do you think about this word militia? Is it a bad word to you, or is something that is important to defend the safety and the freedom of our community?
It's important to defend the safety of the community. It's a militia, what it actually stands for, Luca, and I'm sure you already know this, but it's just, it's a well-regulated group. It has structure to it. It is just a word, and unfortunately it's been just given a really bad rap, and I do not take it as a bad word. I believe that any group, then the sheriff's office would be considered the same, because it's a regulated group. I mean, you can't just segregate one group as something and one is not. The word militia is not bad.
Okay, listen, I want to give you, like I do with every candidate, the last 60 seconds. You can say whatever you want. You got a complete floor. And also remind, please, at the end, your website, or people can reach you out. Go ahead.
I would just like to thank everybody for the opportunity of listening to me, and I would hope that you would take my opinions and values into consideration to be elected your next Mohave County Sheriff, to represent you, to put the safety and security first in Mohave County, that I will work for you, not for myself, that I will stand for you and for my family as well, that I will represent you and have a foundation to stand on. We need to get back to the principles of Mohave County and what we represent. And I would like to also thank you for allowing me this opportunity to offer my services to you once again.
Perfect.
And I just ask for your vote. Thank you.
Very good. And I want to be fair. I forgot one question that I ask to everybody. I don't want people, you should ask that question. It's very simple. You don't need to spend too much time. We have short time. Any secret, and I'm not talking about your personal private life, okay? I'm talking about in your public life, something connected to the sheriff office. Let's say I said to the other people, I don't know, you got domestic violence, you beat up your husband, you get arrested, you get found drunk in the public street, something like that, okay? I'm not talking about your personal private life. Any secret we should know. And I'm not here to judge, okay? All I ask is to have the chance to people to be upfront, that we should know as constituents about you as a person that would compromise or could compromise your position as a county sheriff. Go ahead.
Absolutely not. I've never been arrested. Actually, even during my employment, I was never even suspended or put on any disciplinary time off. So no, I have no scary skeletons in the closet, no arrests, no.
Perfect. Listen, Mrs. Merryman, I really thank you for your time, and I want to say, listeners, my only job here is to give you the opportunity to know more about the candidates, because this is going to be probably the most important election we will ever have
Absolutely.
in the history of this county, because we are living in historical times. 2016 is already started, but we have no idea what's going to happen in the next few months. So we better spend our time. And as I say, I'm here, my humble job as a member of the media, to give the microphone to these candidates, and I appreciate them all, because everybody who's running at least is spending some time and effort. But I'll let you, the listener, the voter, the final word. Now, talking about you, the listener, this show is not free. This is not NPR. We do not steal your money. If you want to support this show, first of all, support K-Talks, because, they need to pay their bills. If you want to support myself, my time is pretty precious, believe it or not. I just do this as a sort of a love, but you can support me too, because I tell you, it's taking a very lot of my business time. So go to one of my website, zanna.us, and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents, and I appreciate your help. If you're too cheap, that's fine. You can listen for free. But I tell you, I really do not appreciate that. I appreciate your help and support. Now, don't go away. Hour number 2, we talk about guns, and we have a special guest, one of the Appleseed Rifleman coordinators, instructors, and we will talk about how to become a rifleman. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We look at Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.fm network.